Okay, hey everybody, we are live, and tonight it is Tyrion 4, and Misha is going to be doing the overview, Jen, Lady Wolverton, and yeah, everybody else introduce themselves. Elamar, I guess we'll just go down the line.
Oh my gosh, I'm the first one, huh? Well, hi everybody. It's another Thursday, and today we're doing Tyrion, my favorite character. Hopefully, we'll do him justice. And hopefully, nobody will be too mean. I'm expecting some meanness here. Yeah. So Jen, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Every Thursday is something that I look forward to. So yeah, thanks for having me again.
You are so welcome.
Sarah?
Love you. Misha?
Oh,
Oh, okay. I thought we were going down the line, but that's okay. Hello, everyone. This is Misha Houston. Welcome to Jennifer's channel. Welcome to our book club. Yes, we are going to be doing Tyrion Lannister tonight. He's certainly an interesting and very vivacious and colorful character, and he delivered yet again another wonderful and vivacious and funny and colorful chapter for us tonight. If you want to catch me, check me out on Facebook, check me out on Instagram, and check me out on Snapchat, and also check me out on the Capcom Fighters Network. Sarah, it's your turn. Please introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I'm sorry. If I knew that I was next, I would have talked, but you were right next to LMR. So I was
Oh, well, yeah, it must be a different, yeah, it's a different
Yeah, I
order.
think we have different screens because right next to me there's Sarah. So
oh,
Okay.
oh my goodness. Well, then I'm outnumbered. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm following directions on my end for what it's worth. It's Thursday night. I look forward to Thursday night. Thursday night book club. Game of Thrones, Tyrion 5. He's in the sky cells. That's that's the chapter, right? It's a great
yes.
talk about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he is a prisoner of Lady Arryn. Catelyn Tully has delivered him to Lady Arryn as a prisoner. Apparently, there's going to be some sort of, the beginnings of a war is coming. And Catelyn wanted to have a prisoner of war already in the beginning. So she's decided to take hold of Tyrion Lannister and deliver him to a neutral ground. And I think the best place that she thought that she could keep him and keep housing him and keep him safe, for her benefit and the benefit of her family, was with Liza Aaron in the valley, in the Vale of Aaron. The Vale of Aaron is one of the seven kingdoms, and it's sort of remotely closed off from the other kingdoms because it is a mountainous region surrounded by mountains and very difficult to get to. Now, this chapter is about Tyrion and his point of view, and he is in the sky sails right now. Now, before I go on with the story about Tyrion, I want to explain a little bit about the sky sails themselves. The sky sails are a prison or a prison cell, but it's not like normal prison. It has three walls, and it faces the mountain, but the fourth wall that should protect the prisoner from harm is not there. It's an open-ended cell with a sloped floor. So a prisoner in that cell, could come to dangerous harm. They could fall right out of that prison and to their deaths. It's a form of torture. It's just another form of torture, and they do things very differently here, in the Vale than they do from other places. It's a very different place. It's a very different atmosphere, and Tyrion is beginning to realize how different things are, and that he can't do things, here like he could do things over in King's Landing or in any other sort of the continent. He starts to realize that he's gotten himself into this mess due to his mouth and due to him, talking smack and and cracking wise and so on and so forth. So he realizes that he has to find and work his way out of it. He says in the chapter, my big mouth got me into this, and my big mouth has to get me out of it. Now, as we know about Tyrion, he's very clever. His main weapon is his mind and his voice. He's able to talk his way into and out of things, and he does it very well. It really shows in this chapter how decently and how wonderfully he manages to dig his way into the mess and then dig his way out of the mess. I kind of Tyrion sort of reminds me of a ditch digger. A ditch digger is a person who blatantly puts themselves in harm's way and then deliberately claws themselves out of it just to feel superior. And Tyrion, as much as I love him, he kind of reminds me of that. I mean, he needs something to feel superior about. He's a short man. He has the Lannister name, but he's a dwarf. And dwarfs aren't looked too kindly on in this world. This is a world where you can show no weakness, and his weakness, is shown for the world to see. So I think he kind of needs to feel superior somehow. He needs to feel superior. He needs to out talk a person, outthink a person, out connive a person. And he certainly goes to war with Liza Aaron in this chapter. Now, there's a jailer who we'll see later on in A Feast for Crows called Mord, and he's trying to outtalk and outthink Mord. So he decides to bribe the guardsman. He says, I have gold. If you deliver me a message, just give me, inside, give me a message to Lady Arian, and I'll give you gold. And eventually the guard, a simple-minded man, very simple, very stupid, and not all in his right mind, he decides to go along with the plan. Now, while Tyrion is in prison, he's thinking, he's plotting. He's starting to plot, and he's thinking about this entire situation. He's starting to wonder who could have tried to kill Brandon Stark, who could have done this, who could have set all of this into motion. He starts to think about Jamie and how rash and impetuous he is. And he starts to think about Cersei, how, prideful and vain and arrogant she is and how cruel. But he doesn't think that either one of them would be so stupid as to send a catspaw to come in and try to kill Brandon Stark. He talks about his journey up the mountain. Well, rather, he thinks about his journey up the mountain. Apparently, they made him walk up that mountain, and it was just to the point where he just couldn't make it up there anymore. He doesn't have a lot of strength in his legs, and it was a long, treacherous journey. And Catelyn was afraid of that journey even when she was on mule. I mean, it must have been terrible for her. I mean, terrible for Tyrion to have to walk up that mountain, the march to his fate. And apparently they made him walk up the mountain up until the point where he just couldn't walk anymore. And then he had to endure the humiliation of being carried the rest of the way. So Tyrion is in a foul mood. He's not, for anyone's crap. He is pissed. And because of his anger, he lets his mouth get away from him. And he decides, to run his mouth, get angry, and it lands him in prison. But as I said before, he talks to Mord, he bribes the jailer, a crude, blunt man, a stupid man, and he manages to outwit him and bribe his way out of prison. Now, he says that he wants to go in and confess, and then Sir Vardis Egan, who we'll see later on, decides to, let him out of the cell, and he's, delivered, to Lady Aaron and to all the members of the court, and he, uses his charm and his wit to out-talk and out-think and try to play this situation for all it's worth. He says he's willing to confess his crimes, and then he goes down the list of the things that he has done. But when he's asked about Brandon's attempted murder and John Aaron's murder, he completely denies that. He's about to be sent back to the sky cell, but then he stops that process, and he tells them, where is your honor? Where is the king's justice? I am entitled. If I am accused of a crime, I am entitled to defend myself. I am entitled to a trial, which is true. But I have to say that a trial is not what Catelyn wanted. She's not really looking for a trial. She just wants to keep him prisoner, for the sake of having a hostage, to bargain with. But Tyrion knows this, but he apparently has manipulated Catelyn, manipulated this entire situation, manipulated Liza Aaron into a trial. He tries to use his charm, and he tells everyone that I am entitled to a trial. I am entitled to this. I am the son of a lord. I am the queen's brother, and I am entitled to this. And Liza, like the fool that she is, goes along with the plan. Now, he's talking to the court, and she says that, hey, you want a trial? We'll give you a trial. I'll have my son be your judge, and if you are innocent, you can leave out the front door, and if you are found guilty, you will leave out of the moon door. Now, the moon door itself is a door that has no that goes out into the sky, and people are not executed in the normal way, not flayed, not their heads taken, not hanging, not, it's pretty much you just have to walk and fall to your death. And Tyrion says, no, I want a trial by combat, which, makes everyone, laugh at him. They don't see what he's doing, but apparently he's working his skills in communication very well. He's manipulated that entire situation from becoming a prisoner with no hope of escape to a prisoner that has a chance to be free. So, I mean, he's done a really, really good job in this. He manipulates Liza Aaron, and he tells her, look, I want to try by combat. And by the end of it, and let me just go ahead and fast forward to the end, he manages to find a champion in Bronn. I think Bronn was his true target in this. He had been working on Bronn ever since they had came from the inn at the crossroads. He needed someone to protect him. He needed a shield. He needed a sellsword, and Bronn was definitely the man that he was looking for. I think that whole thing was for Tyrion's benefit and for Tyrion to have some sort of protection. So pretty much Tyrion uses his skills in communication. He makes his way out of prison where he's beaten and abused. He manages to get audience with the Lady Aaron and with Lady Catelyn. He finds a way to become not just a prisoner, but a person that has a chance at freedom, and he manages to find a protector. So that's pretty much how the chapter ended. The chapter ended with Bronn saying that he would stand up for Tyrion, and Tyrion has gotten his way about this. So I think he's done a really, really good job for himself, a whole lot better than some people that were in bondage in the show and in the books. So that's pretty much my overview. Sorry if it ran a little bit long, but that's how I roll. Thank you all so much, and I would like to open up the panel and our people in the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat now, and we will get to all of them. Ladies, it's all on you.
Well, I guess I'm gonna start. It's so quiet. Anybody else notice? I always start stuff like I can never shut up. But I noticed something odd about the door that they mentioned. Is it just me, or did the door, when you listen to the actual or read actual book, did it seem different than the moon door in the book and the show?
Yes, it was a very different. It was very, very different. But the purpose was the same.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it was a door that was
Exactly.
against the wall. But in the show, it was down on the
It
floor.
looked more
But
like a
either way,
well.
yeah,
In the
yeah.
show, I feel like it looked more like a well as opposed to how I
Exactly. I don't know which one I would like better. Which I'm thinking the one on the on the floor. I guess that kind of is scary because you're falling into a hole. But then just to have a door that you walk through as if it's regular door, but then you die within a couple of seconds because you drop. I don't know which one is scarier. I don't know. I just have that image, completely different images from what it was and how they opened it, and it was weirwood tree door, I think, right? So that was interesting.
don't know what the door was made of, to be perfectly honest. The throne that they sit on is werewood.
Hmm.
Right? I don't know what the door is made of.
I just
The door is made of.
remember that.
It has bronze latches on it, and I'm assuming that it's stone or maybe werewood. I
Hmm.
think it's werewood.
It is.
I think it's
I
werewood.
believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for a little more. How about that?
Okay.
I had made a note of it. You guys, not only does he talk himself out of the sky sail, but he gets back that cloak.
That's a power move. He won in life by getting that cloak.
He did. And I want to just say this. I have never been to prison. Jail, I am acquainted with. It is always cold as hell in jail, I guess, to keep the germs down or whatever. But I mean, I guess, he not only, so he's sitting up there in that Scottsdale and he's like, oh, fuck.
It's like in an open door in the mountain.
It is.
And he's
like, that is really talking myself into the shit pile. And he thinks to himself, okay, Cersei will be deeply insulted. Cersei's going to be like, she's going to handle shit. And I thought it was interesting how in the show, they changed Tyrion to the person with the low cunning. But in the book, it's actually how Cersei is described in this chapter. Mm-hmm. You guys remember in the television show when Tywin was sitting there telling him, I should have left you, I should have killed you or whatever, and you're not without a certain amount of low cunning. But actually in this chapter it says that Cersei is not without a certain amount of low cunning. Mm-hmm. That she won't take this opportunity, because if she would play this right, she could actually flip this on the Starks, because they have no real viable proof that Tyrion has done anything. Right. But he knows that she's not smart enough to play it out in her head and see how she can flip this to their advantage fully and be done with them altogether. And what I think he means when he says that is with this coming up as kind of an unhonorable thing, not, treating him this way, because he actually is pretty high up in society, even though he's a dwarf. I mean, he's brother to the queen, etc.
Tywin's son.
Exactly. So, and then he thinks to himself, and even if Jaime comes, which he has no doubt that Jaime will come defend him, and Jaime is his first choice, as Bronn tells him later in the show. But he's thinking to himself, it is hard as hell to get here. Like, it would be months, for any relief. And Tyrion has a real gumption about him. And we talked about this last week, that anybody who really survives in this series, it's good to know people and it's good to have friends. But at the end of the day, you have to be very self-sufficient and adaptable and interchangeable. And so Tyrion sits there and thinks to himself, I got my ass in this. Nobody but myself can get me out of this. He formulates the plan. He gets Mord to bring him pen and ink. He knows if he says, I didn't do this, whatever, he'll sit there forever. So he writes what they want to hear just to get an audience. And that plays out the way he wants it to. And he's lucky that it does. Anybody else?
Yeah. So with that, there's a question here from, let me find it. Septa Shane Secrets. It says here, the question is, what is the cloak a metaphor for? So when Mord, is it Mord? Or I'm thinking Mord.
It was
Yeah, so when he cloaks him with his, when Tyrion gets his own cloak back, or whatever, coat or whatever it's called, I was thinking about it too. And I still, I'm not sure. It's kind of, since Mort is the key keeper, or kind of like he needs to make sure Tyrion is safe. So by cloaking him, in a way, I thought of it as protection. Obviously not from Mort, because he's just a pawn, but kind of a metaphor for protection, that now the minute he's been cloaked, he is safe, so he can do no wrong. Kind of like safety blanket, metaphorical.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I agree with that. Cloak, in our story means a sign of protection, and he certainly is looking for protection right here and now. I also believe that the cloak was just for warmth. I mean, they said, it's an open-ended cell,
it's
and
cold.
it started
He's
to turn
cold.
cold.
He knows he's gonna die. That's, I think, why he said it's only a matter of time before Mord's kicks do him serious harm.
Mhm.
So it's, when he comes up with this plan, it's because he knows he's gonna die. If the blue was calling to him, like, what I think the most torturous aspect of this 3-walled cell is you can't sleep. If you sleep, you'll roll to your death. So it's sleep deprivation, which to me would break me in a day. I mean, I would do better in an ice cell, because at least I could sleep there.
It's psychological torture, because you can't sleep, and it's not just sleep. There's studies done where if you are, you can survive without water for a long time. You can survive without food for even longer. But if your body is deprived of, I think it's called REM sleep, or one of these, not just any sleep, not like you doze off for an hour or two. You don't, unless your body is able to provide that sleep to your brain, or your brain is whatever causes that sleep, then you're fine. But if you're deprived of that special kind of sleep that brain needs, you will die, basically. I don't know how. Probably your heart will stop, or something will happen where you will basically die. And that's torture. I think Cersei will have that at some point, where they won't let her sleep for too long later on.
When she's in prison, they don't let her sleep. Yes. They don't let her Marjorie sleep either. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Cersei will be in prison later on in a Feast for Crows, and those bastards will not let her sleep. And sleep is very important for everyone. I don't know how anyone can stay up.
It's just so breaking somebody down that's not physically violent, right? Like, you could. Like, Tyrion also wanted to make sure everyone in court saw all his bruised up face, because they told Mort not to kick him. I'm sure they were like, have fun with him.
Yeah.
Don't break him too bad, but like, and Tyrion is very much, I didn't take extensive notes on it, but just him thinking he's setting up his court in terms of justice. Like, is this the king's justice? Is the Eyrie, or I always get the Eyrie and the Vale confused. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but Vale, let's say Vale. Is the Vale no longer part of the 7 kingdoms? And that's sort of like with the king's justice. And it's like, what is the justice even here? Like, it's definitely something that Oberyn is. I'm all over the place with this. I'm sorry, but like, when Oberyn comes to town and is justice for Ilya, justice. I guess is trial by combat really thought to be somehow just, or how does this? To me, I don't. Yeah. And to appeal to their honor too, as high as honor, like they're always the holier than thou family in terms of honor. So
Yeah. You mean just the Lannisters? The Lannisters as a family?
I'm sorry. I'm just doing a lot of talking. I think Tyrion appealed to the culture in the Vale, which is, this is justice and we're
oh, when he said it, I was surprised he didn't say it earlier. I mean, he has, for a man with a tongue like that, he should be added sooner than that.
I mean, you couldn't have played it the same way, definitely, if you had been at the Dreadfort. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just so Tyrion is really not knowing how this is going to go, because even until he says for a moment no one moves when he calls upon like a trial by combat, he wonders if he's made a terrible mistake. So he still doesn't. He's still just flying by the seat of his pants at this point.
Yeah,
obviously it was a calculated risk.
Yeah, he gambled on Bronn. He gambled. I think he always had in his mind, though, if anybody will speak up. Well, I think he had it in his mind all along to choose his brother and that to possibly be honored. But from the glances we get of him looking over at Bronn and kind of seeing how he's looking, and
Bronn always has he looks relaxed, but he always has his hands on his sword hilt, like
right. And
he's ready to cut somebody. You just don't know which person yet.
Yeah. Plus, they bonded, I think, on the way, right? On the way.
They carry his ass up the mountain, but they didn't bond in a way that. Yeah, Bronn knows people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking for someone with deep pockets, and him being a Lannister, I think it was just
also so Marillion. He's Tyrion is constantly making sure Marillion is watching, because singers have such big mouths and write stories and travel, and he wants to make sure this becomes a song.
This chapter was very much about the power of the voice. There were a lot of big mouth people in this. Marillion with his wood harp will be singing his songs. Tyrion with his big mouth. Liza with her big mouth. Robert Arryn with his big mouth screaming, saying, "I want the bad man to fly." This was all about the power of the voice. There wasn't, very much violence in it, even though there was a little bit of violence done to Tyrion, but that really wasn't the driving factor. It was about talking, negotiating, communication, speech. That's what's in my mind what this chapter was all about, and what the power of just speaking, the power of the word. And it showed how much power that one person can have if they know how to talk to a person. And that is, Tyrion's big advantage over a lot of people. A lot of people don't have that skill of communication. It's a very rare and very rare and very fair feature for any person to have. And Tyrion has that power, and he uses it very, very well. He's just a very manipulative, very cunning, very conniving character, and he has a dark edge to him. The dark edge, is very much present in this chapter, and it really wasn't present, in the show, which is something that I wish that they had done for him. I wish that they had given him his darkness, his ugliness.
He really did get cleaned up for the show, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Almost
did.
A completely different person. But I mean, there's still dwarfism. Can't take that part away. But it's I will say though, in terms of this episode and the show, I think they did the Sky Cells really well. And just even if like the Eyrie definitely felt like a very, I call it the Eyries, the Vale. God damn it. I'm sorry.
I feel it too.
They're not synonymous, but I use them synonymously. It felt like a very different place than any of the other places we've been. It felt like different than the Riverlands. It felt differently than Winterfell. That's sort of what I liked about the first season so much, is that to see all the different things. And it's funny because it costs so much more now per episode, but you don't see as much. I feel
Right.
In terms of geography, that's all I'm saying. Like obviously surfing Dothraki on horses, that was a good show. But
that was a good one when you said it. Surfing Dothraki, that's the exact image.
we didn't really get to see Highgarden, which sucked. But you know what I mean?
But so comparing the images, I remember reading the book and then a description of, what do you call it? The veil? Is it the veil? When that gate and then the whole ascend.
The bloody gate.
Yeah, and then going up. That was a couple chapters before, but that was completely different from the show. And then the door was also different. But then the sky sails, they kind of got them in the show, at least from the outside, the view when they had when they panned out a little bit. So I got that, but it's so much more intense when you read it because your imagination gives you more pictures.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree with that. They did do a good job with the sky sail. I did feel the sky sail, but then there was an air of silliness to it. It didn't feel silly when you were reading it, but it did.
Yeah. Mort is definitely way scarier in the books than he is in the show. I don't think Mort was really beating the shit out of him. Was he? I don't remember it being like an uncomfortably violent scene.
I think in the show they made him less simple. Simple-minded, let's just say this way. Less simple-minded.
Okay.
I think.
I thought they were, and you know what? I can't remember. We didn't read
it off in the show as well.
We're talking about the show. We read the book.
We can compare too, because not everybody here in the chat read the books. That's why we're not strictly only books. That's why I like this, because we can compare. And yeah,
the problem is I didn't watch this recently, so I'm.
You mean the show? You haven't seen the show?
I've seen it, just not recently enough to argue about it.
Oh, it's been forever since I've seen it. It's my memory thing. Like I kind of remember stuff. But that's
I hope I remember it correctly. Yeah.
Mackenzie's right though. I think that in the show they tried to make it funnier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to they made Ramsay attractive, which in the books he sounds hideous.
And everything with Tyrion does seem a little more lighthearted in the show. Like Shay, that's some dark shit in the show. I mean, excuse me, in the books. Like they are actually in love on the show. You're kind of rooting for them, but it's there's
and here actually, I think I missed a comment from way back. I'm not gonna look for it, but I remember Marie mentioning, what was it? She mentioned that Tyrion is talking about weaknesses and flaws of his siblings, like Cersei and Jaime, but he's not mentioning his tongue, his weakness. So it's he kind of realizes it, that him talking got him into that. Like, but also so you can have a weakness that can be your power too, but it's overused. It can, like, for myself, I have that. I have many, but I have one thing that is my strength, but also weakness, depending on how I use it. So, and it can be a great strength, and it can be the worst thing too. So he knows it. I think he knows it, and that's good that he can recognize it. Hopefully, at some point, he'll make good choices.
Yeah, he certainly sees the flaws, in regards to his voice. But then again, even though I agree with you, I can understand his anger. He's been accused of of a crime that he did not commit. He has been arrested and humiliated. He's been marched up the mountain, which is so many miles. I mean, to walk a few miles on foot, a person gets tired. But I'm assuming, he's got to walk up a mountain.
I have been accused and actually put in jail for something I had nothing to fucking do with. And then not only did they catch the person who did it, so I'm still in jail for assault on a police officer because I resisted arrest. Let me tell you what, righteous indignation does not even begin. Oh my God. I mean, I can really, and it's not only this one time. It's like he's always being singled out. You know what I mean? Because in this world, unattractiveness equals evil.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I totally feel for Tyrion in
You know,
this
that's
chapter. He's not always sympathetic in the books, but in this chapter, you definitely get behind the injustice that is being done Tyrion.
yeah, that's a very good point, Jennifer. Unattractiveness equals evil. Because, and it's a shame that the people didn't really see that, because there were some very attractive people, such as Joffrey, young and blonde and tall and strong, but who was more evil than him? And then we have people like the Hound, who has a hideous facial scar from his burns, but in his heart, you know, deep down underneath all the pain and the hurt and the disgust that he's felt, he is a good man. So, and it's a shame that they only see, you know, unattractiveness is evil, because there are so many people who are attractive in this story, such as Cersei and Jamie, you know, that has evil in them.
And
You
you
know, it's a
guys,
shame
even
to
in
see
the
that.
real world, you will notice that attractive people, I mean, there's been studies done, say, where an attractive young teacher is sent in to teach kids, then maybe a not so attractive teacher, then the children vote on who they like best. And even though they were probably equally as good teachers or as nice, usually the more attractive person will automatically be more liked.
Yeah,
And that is just a part of life
yeah, that's true.
in every world, truthfully.
Hmm. That's true.
Exactly. Actually, there is something about facial features for people to relate if they're more pleasing. I'm coming like with research and stuff. But yeah, if the facial features are more pleasing to the eye, there's like calmness that starts. It basically takes away from other processing that happens or something. There's something about it where people can relate to somebody who they find more attractive. That's why it's so easy sometimes to get fooled by the face, because you kind of forget that there's more to a person. It's just natural. It's like natural selection. You automatically look for a partner, or it's basically biology.
Yeah.
Instead of
It is. It is. It's on
something.
all of us. Whoever has a code, whatever's attractive to you, you go there and you forget other stuff, which is bad because, yeah, it's
my
bad.
joke was survival of the prettiest instead of survival of the fittest. Survival of the prettiest. That was my
I
joke.
guess, yeah, biology,
Yeah,
survival.
cut it off
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
You know,
Can be
it's a
true.
lesson.
And that's also why
It's bad.
I know we're on Tyrion, but that's also why Cersei is starting to have such a hard time in life, because one of her superpowers is fading.
No,
And it's a
younger, more
lesson.
beautiful one.
Yeah, it's a lesson that Sansa hasn't quite learned yet. She's judging the books by their covers. She's judging the books by their covers. She looked at Joffrey and thought everything was going to be okay. But it was the dwarf that helped her out. And it was the drunk Sir Dantos that helped her. And it was, what's his name? Sandor Clegane with the ugly face that helped her. I mean, she's sitting up here looking at the exterior and not looking at what's underneath. And that's her big problem. That's her big problem. She's going to have to face that later on in the books. And even, you know, in Feast for Crows, she's still sort of judging people just by their looks. And it's not something that, it's not a wise thing to do. I mean, even though she's a girl, she should have learned, you know, in my opinion, by now, that you can't just judge the book by the cover. Um, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We have a packed house. I want to give a shout out to everyone. We're doing Tyrion 5, I believe. I think this is the fifth
4.
Tyrion chapter 4.
I think 4.
Tyrion 4 or Tyrion 5. I'm not quite.
I'll check it in the meantime.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we're doing Tyrion tonight, and he's in a big situation, and he's trying to get himself out of the situation as best he can. Thank you, Amanda. We love you too. Thank you to all of our people in the gangbangers who showed up tonight. I've heard a lot of chatter, you know, about our book clubs, and you know, more and more each week about our book club, and I thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. We'll be back next week for Eddard. We're doing it. Yeah, it's Tyrion 5. Thank you, Cardinal Doomsday. It's
Oh
Tyrion
shit!
5
I
tonight,
put it
and
wrong
we'll
in
be
the
back
link.
next week.
My bad.
Yeah, we will be back next week for Eddard next week. But tonight we're talking about Tyrion. He's a very, very interesting character. He he's faced with a lot of hardships in his life, things that are not his fault. Him being born a dwarf is not his fault, but he's trying to suffer it as best he can. Him being accused of this crime that he did not commit is not his fault, but he's trying to suffer it as best he can. He's suffering a lot in vain. He's suffering a lot in vain. The death of his mother was not his fault, but he's been suffering that all his life. All his life, he's been suffering that. He's a character that did not bring it entirely upon himself.
Extremely unfortunate relationship with women,
Huh?
I would say Tyrion has a really unfortunate relationship with women. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
His sister,
Yeah.
his wife that got destroyed by his. You know what I mean? Like, then all the later life prostitutes and stuff.
Yeah, he's the whole
He confesses, right?
yeah, he hasn't. Has he gone into that story yet? I don't think he's gone into that story
No.
just yet.
As a part of his farce trial, he says that he's laid with like in brothels and stuff, but it's when they almost die down from the mountain clans that he tells Bronn about Tysha.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another thing that he has suffered, another hardship that he has suffered. The rape of his wife, the woman that he loved and who loved him.
Well, and he lived his entire life thinking that she was paid to pretend to love him. Like, it was him being unlovable was.
Yes.
He feels so stupid that someone actually loved him, and then to find out that Jamie was like, oh, by the way, we lied about that too.
Right. He's been lied to. Yeah, he suffered a lot. You're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out. He suffered a lot. I mean, just being lied to, being mistreated, being teased on account of his size and his stature. Trying to grow up in a family that is as twisted as the Lannisters. Knowing about Cersei. Cersei is very, prominent with him. And Cersei, is the kind of person that loves one brother so much that she would sleep with one brother and hate the other brother so much that she wants to kill him.
That sounded so interesting the way you said it. I never thought about it like Misha. Oh my god, thank you.
They needed more siblings. They needed to balance that woman out a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, did you hear? I mean, I know you heard Misha, but I heard her like twice in my head. One she will sleep with, and the other she wants to kill. That woman has issues.
Yes, she lives her life, in extremes.
Tyrion,
Tyrion
talking about wanting to rape her and stuff too. Like, that doesn't. Yeah.
It just
dude.
And it puts, because she lives her life in such extremes, he looks at her with the extreme that he either wants to kill her or rape her or both. And the love is just so unbalanced between the those three siblings. And he does. I don't think he knows whether he's on the good side of the extreme or the bad side. Is it better for my sister to want to love me enough to want to sleep with me, or is it better that she would rather kill me? And I think that's his big question with Cersei, in regards to Cersei. He doesn't know how to love her, or how to be loved by her, or how to give love to her, or to accept love from her, because all of it is just unbalanced.
There's a moment where, I think it's like Hand of the King, and they're reporting on Stannis and Renly fighting each other, and she like picks him up and twirls him around. I don't know, and he's like, this must be the Cersei that Jaime saw. Like, there's this one moment where they sort of didn't hate each other. it was fleeting, obviously.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with each other.
No,
It's just they have no idea what to do with each other, and she hates him.
She assaults him. She
and
slaps him. I mean, I don't think it's appropriate to hit someone who's half your size. I don't think
right.
it's appropriate to hit anybody unless, but you know what I mean, like.
And there's a comment here from Amanda Ducan. She says they don't get much love from their father. Exactly. When their mother dies, and Tywin is not the most loving person that I know on that show, I would say.
Joanna could make me
against each
smile.
other quite a bit. If you notice, he pits them against each other completely.
Oh yeah,
that family is real fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, exactly. And he,
the saddest things
Yeah.
for me about him are that he mistrusted laughter, because he had that whole, he was very humiliated by his dad. He mistrusted laughter. A person that laughing is, and then humor, if you live your life mistrustful of that, I don't even know why. What joy do you have? You don't know joy, but apparently Joanna could make him smile to the point where people learned he had teeth. And then of course Joanna died. The Con of Thrones, there was a session, I didn't go to it, but it was this dead women tropes or something, like if you think about it, Lyanna, Chardane, Joanna Lannister, there's all these like mystery women that are we don't meet them, they're dead, they're perfect, they're beautiful, they're romanticized.
Marie says in the chat that Cersei does not truly love Jaime. She wants to be Jaime. And I think that's true, and I think we get that admonishment from her later in the story, basically.
Yeah, she's a woman that hates her womanhood because of how women are treated. She wants to be the kind of woman that is seen, for her strength and her power. But the thing is, it's not because she's not a man, it's because she is not the kind of woman that should be in power. She's intelligent. She's a wonderfully intelligent woman, but she's so prideful and so arrogant, and it just
angry. Sort of to make fun of it's like, is it really all about penis envy? Really? Like, she really wishes she was a dude that bad? I think she does use. It's hard for me to imagine her being in love with Jaime and having respect for Jaime. I feel like she uses Jaime.
Yeah.
But if there's people who can tell me I'm wrong, I would love to hear it. But it's like, as soon as it becomes clear that Jaime isn't going to do what she says anymore, she insults his manhood and it leaves. And it's I mean, I do believe her begging him when she's all locked up, like, I love you, I love you, I love you, or I need you, and she says it 3 times.
Some people go ahead.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that some people, like, when you say love, like if somebody says, oh, that somebody doesn't love somebody, truly, I never want to, I try not to say that or even think it, because I don't know how other people love, meaning I love a certain way, somebody loves their certain way, and some people are only able to love other people if they're happy. And I know it's twisted and I know it's not right, but some are not able to kind of experience love unless they get something from it. And I know it's not my definition of love, but everybody has a different definition. Like, I know we're on Tyrion right now, but talking about Cersei, she has a very odd way of loving.
You cannot talk about Jaime and Cersei. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it has a great effect on Tyrion. The way his sister is perceiving attachment and love for her brother, admiration, maybe jealousy for her father. And somebody here said it. I'm not sure if it was Cardinal Doomsday, or maybe, so I know I read it somewhere, or maybe anyway, it's somewhere there that she wants to be him, meaning Cersei wants to be Tywin, and that effect on Tyrion too, because in order to be like Tywin, she needs to be cruel and ruthless. So why not be cruel and ruthless to her little brother? On top of hating him for killing his mother, or their mother, she just has a lot of reasons from her own perspective to hate him and to step over him and to be better than him. I mean, for her, she's a woman, she's a girl, so she's obviously completely on the bottom. So her trying to go over him and to be better than him, obviously she's stepping over him and on him and through him, and that's why she's making his life miserable for many reasons. That's why he's where he's at right now, because apparently nobody loves him.
Yeah,
And
no, yeah. He has a great. They both do have one thing in common. They do have a great self-loathing for themselves. Neither Cersei nor Tyrion love themselves.
And
that much.
Nor Jamie, you could argue either. Like
Right,
Jamie
right.
looked back on the biggest accomplishments of his life. He's so proud of when he got graduated the King's Guard, and then he realized it was just so he could be a hostage. It was just so he could take his dad's heir. You know, like everything that he's known as the Kinslayer, even though you could argue he saved King's Landing from being blown up with wildfire. He's the Kinslayer, you know, so
well, he's not doing anything to stop it either. He's just he's
owning it. He's like Tyrion, like wear it like a badge of honor. Can't be used to hurt you.
Well, it's kind of dumb too. I don't like it, because he should say something, and expecting people to make good choices for him or explain his action, just sitting there dwelling in his, whatever. I think that was really stupid of him that he didn't explain it. I know that if you're innocent, you're not supposed to explain yourself, but people are not that smart over there, so he should have said something. Anyway, sorry.
That's true. Yes, we're discussing Tyrion tonight. We're doing the best we can with this. But Tyrion is such a complex character.
Can I say
yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Cersei, I'm sorry. Tyrion essentially knows that what they're doing. Like he's like, oh, like what fresh hell did my sister and Jamie do? Like he knows that Bran falling probably had something to do with his sister, and and so at what point Tyrion sort of has to protect them. He has to cover this up. That's why they start that rumor about Shireen, When we talk about like what love is, and if Jamie and Cersei, they were so deprived of love and they found love in each other, who way to deny them that comfort? They put a lot of people in danger by having that relationship. Bran, obviously, but
they sure did.
They put themselves in danger.
But that they Stuart Hugh, like on the show, they implied that it was Littlefinger or somebody who had him killed, like somebody. But there was just all those boys of the same age are just sort of going missing, and there's a squire that's missing too. Like, that relationship required a lot of people enabling it. But I guess it's what I'm saying, and protecting people. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But truthfully, like, they can't help it. I mean, if anybody ever, even like as a teenager, let's just say, because when you're older, you kind of have more brains, hopefully at some point. But as a teen, like, and can anybody explain to you why? Let's say you should not date this person. Okay,
sure, fair enough.
Sure, Mom, I understand what you're saying, but
yeah, all right.
There's no reason to attraction or love, and they're not the strongest people on the show as far as being able to control themselves. So I don't think there's anything they can do about it at this point. They've been together forever, and I don't think they would stop it just to save anybody.
If I may, I would like to kind of move on from Jamie and Cersei, to talk about another pair of siblings here, if it's okay. I would like to, make a quick comment about Liza and Catelyn.
Oh,
Liza,
yes.
Yeah, that's another pair of siblings that have problems with each other. She brought, Catelyn brought Tyrion here to her sister. And, in that Catelyn chapter, we really see how resentful, Liza is of Catelyn, and vice versa. It's a very difficult, another torturous relationship between siblings, a lot of jealousy there. I noticed in this chapter that Liza was pretty much doing all the talking in this. And Catelyn, was stuck being silent through a lot of this. She was stuck being silent, even though what Catelyn was saying was true. Liza said that the sky cells always break them, but Catelyn believes that he wasn't broken at all. Liza,
he doesn't look broken to me.
Yeah, he doesn't look broken to me. I mean, this is her prisoner, but yet Liza is taking over, which was not a smart move. It really showed that was a big folly on Catelyn's part, bringing Tyrion there. But she really had no choice. She had nowhere else to bring him, and it was the best that she could do, with what she had. As I said before, Liza, turned this into a trial when Catelyn just wanted to keep the man prisoner. And I don't think that she would have wanted him to go to the sky cells either. I think she would have put, if it was Catelyn's way, she would have put him in some sort of a decent, normal type cell. I mean, it's just the contradiction between those two ladies is just unbelievable in my eyes. Catelyn, is in her right mind and making a lot of mistakes. And here's Liza, who's obviously not in her right mind, and she thinks she's doing everything that's right. But as we can see in the chapter, she started to realize that maybe she's been played for a fool by this imp. And it's just, those are two siblings right there that have problems with each other. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. There's so many siblings in this storyline that hate each other, that battle against each other, like the Mountain and the Hound, like the big sibling triangle, Jaime, Tyrion, and Cersei. Then we have Catelyn and Liza. Then we have the resentment and the jealousy that Jon felt toward Robb, even though he loved Robb. We have Sansa and Arya, their problems, their struggles. Where does all the resentment come from between siblings? I don't really know where it comes from. Maybe it comes from
status. I think it's a status, and they think that they're royal, or whatever you call it, right? Highborn. But their expectations, right? And they're in the comments here. I'm just kind of going back to acknowledge the comments. Stacy, said, 27 says that Lysa was salty because she had to marry an old man and forced to abort her child, while Kat got to marry a decent-looking man and had all kind of kids. So it is jealousy. And right.
What do they have to be jealous of?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What?
But I mean, I don't understand. The jealousy is a strange mystery to me. I don't understand one person being jealous of another, and that's just my personal feeling.
I was gonna say, you're lucky. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing.
If I is mature enough to not be jealous, I personally, I don't like comparing myself to others because I am who I am. But it's a human nature to kind of compare and to be at the status of whoever else is, to have similar thing as they have. It is
27 really brings up primogeniture as a reason for one of the reasons.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Elamara. I should want that to slip by.
Oh no, which one was it? Because I think I read a comment similar. Which one did you say?
27 brings up primogeniture, the oldest sibling being favored.
Oh yeah.
Primogeniture. Primogeniture.
So it just
y'all, I know some words.
Yeah, well,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it just has something to do with I got a question directed toward me. Cardinal Doomsday asked me, have I ever experienced jealousy? No. I mean, I'm just not a. I know what jealousy is, and but I just personally just am not a jealous hearted person.
Even as
It's
a child, you never had that?
no. I mean, I'm not that I can remember. Not that I mean, I've never wanted anything that anyone else had. I'm just want to be myself. I just want to have, what I have. I'm not looking at others and wishing that I had something of theirs. I'm just not a jealous hearted person. I have my own issues, of course. Everyone has issues, but jealousy is just not my issue. It never really has been, and I really don't want it to be because I've heard that jealousy can make people do horrible things. I mean, it's true of that in the book. I mean, think of Liza and Catelyn, and think of Liza and Sansa. When I read that Sansa chapter and how jealous she was, I was just like, oh my God, don't ever let that happen to me.
If you think,
Don't ever,
like,
don't. I mean,
Kashmir, right? Like the vassal family was like, well, who are you? And we know how that ended. But yes, jealousy can get your whole house killed.
Right. And I mean, I want things. I want to, things, but I don't want what other people have. I want things and lives and a life of my own, not to have to take something from someone else just to feel justified and self-fulfilled. I want things of my own. I want a life of my own. If I can't get it on my own, then so be it. I'm gonna keep on moving.
I like how I like how you're phrasing it. It sounds really, really nice, and this is actually what everybody should be like. To be not be, how I call it, cookie cutter. Just be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself, and that's just a little bit of advice for everyone. Uh, Work on yourself and make sure that your life is the best, as best as you can make it, and don't worry about what other people have, because sooner or later they're gonna lose it. Sooner or later,
and that's an attainable goal, I think, as well. If you will work on what you have, and well, I hate to bring this up, but that's where Sansa is headed, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, we're discussing Tyrion tonight. He has a lot of jealousy in his heart.
He does.
He's a jealous-hearted person. He so wants to be more than what he is, and it's almost to his detriment. It's almost to the point where he's willing to hurt someone to be superior. I mean, and that ditch digger comment is something that I just believe of Tyrion. Even though I love him and I don't want to put him down, but he needs to feel superior. He needs it desperately because of what I'm jealous that Misha is not jealous. Oh, please. Go. You don't even think about that. But as far as Tyrion goes,
because look, though, I know what you're saying, and I can't say that I am above jealousy. I've certainly been jealous of my brother before, that's for sure. I've been jealous of my best friend before, especially in elementary school, Holly Robinson. But you know what? It's more hurtful to your own self to be covetous and jealous than to anybody else, truthfully. And you become bitter, and you become, ugh, it's gross.
It's like I can't remember what it is, but it's like it's this idea that you're going to drink poison and expect another person to die, like holding on to all that stuff. When did this turn like self-help? When did this Tyrion he's just inspiring all of this psychoanalysis. We love you, Tyrion.
Tyrion.
He's a very deep character.
Yeah, he's very cerebral.
Maybe that's why I like him so much.
He's well written
too, because on the one hand, he wants love so bad he would buy it.
Right.
But on the
Right.
other hand, he's so bitter, he couldn't possibly even taste the sweetness of love.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Well, he
Very
did.
true.
He did.
Tried in the beginning, but that
I
was
would
ruined.
ball, girl.
That was yeah, that was ruined. That was ruined by his
It was
father.
ruined, but it was there. He had it.
Oh, you're talking about okay.
You know, there are a lot of characters here that were rooted in love, but was tainted by other people's actions.
Brian, the baby Brian. That was for Cardinal Doomsday. Russell makes me watch that movie a lot.
I don't know that movie.
Okay. If there are any, see, when Jennifer tells me these stories, I never know what to say. I don't know what to say when she tells me these crazy stories.
And actually, these stories are the best things sometimes here in the chat. Not that the book is not good, but I love the personality of this. I love the personality of this chat. It's not a lecture. It's never a lecture here. I like this.
Would people say that? Okay, good.
Because if people wanted a lecture, I think they would go to channels that only do lectures. It's not a lecture. We're hanging out and
yeah,
analyzing this stuff, and that's what I love about Jen and ladies here, that we're kind of.
This is a conversation. I like
it is. We're among friends.
Conversation amongst friends, including the people in the chat, because we're all
exactly. That's what I meant. It's all friends here.
Oh, I know that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree.
You have a great group here, Jen. I really like it.
I do too.
If you have any questions for my people in the chat, please post them now. Yeah, we're definitely all friends here. We all chat and jack with each other, and it's just a wonderful thing. It's just a wonderful thing here, and I appreciate all of us. I appreciate myself, and I appreciate all of you.
And me,
and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. A TGI Fridays with me, the manager will come over to our table and explain to you which drinks are the most liquor in them.
Yeah, and I also appreciate Jen and her stories, and I also appreciate her for getting this chat together. She's worked very hard to get this chat together, to bring different guests and different people into our chats, and it's a wonderful thing that we're doing here. Emmanuel says good night, sexy ladies. Thank you, Emmanuel, for joining us tonight. Please come back next week for our discussion on Eddard. Tyrion, if Sir Vardis Egan, we're gonna hear a little bit about Sir Vardis Egan. Yeah, he's one of our characters.
Look, he was the only one too, actually, who wasn't like me.
yeah, that's a good point.
Gotta go kill one sensible one.
Right,
he was the only one who wasn't like, please let me, for the love I bore y'all.
I want to be in your favor, and he's like, man, please don't make me do this. It would be a great.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, Vardis Egan is one of the knights of the Vale of Aaron. He was one of the people in the room that did not, raise his hand and raise his voice. In championing Lady Liza in this. And that's another and apparently by him not speaking, he was the one chosen for the battle. That's another point that I made about the power of the voice. He did not, share his voice as all of the other knights did, and by him not doing so, he was chosen as the champion for Lady Liza in this duel.
I wonder why she chose him. Do you know why she chose him? Like, for real, not what she said, but why did she actually choose him? Because she chose his death sentence in general, right?
Well, apparently so. I mean, I think she had truly believed that he would have done it. He was the lead, the head knight.
Yeah,
Did she have any feelings for him?
Did she have feelings for him?
Yeah, like meaning like because she doesn't want to get married. Obviously, she has feelings for Littlefinger, but did she favor him or did she choose him? I mean, she didn't know he's gonna pick somebody else, so she kind of knew he would win. But I wonder why she chose him.
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Well, I'm just assuming. I'm just gonna assume that because he didn't speak up.
Did you guys already talk about this?
But
He's the
it could be
captain of the
another reason.
household guard.
Say it again, Sarah.
He's the captain of the household guard at the Erie.
He was the captain of the household guard in King's Landing because Tyrion even talks about how he knew Sir Vardis. You know, how he recognized him immediately, how he knew him.
He greets Kat with Maester Coleman, like halfway down the mountain.
And I believe he had been in King's Landing with John Aaron and them as well.
So he probably just brings
the head of Ned's household guard. I believe that's the position Sir Vardis held at one time, or still does.
So by calling on him, she's bringing legitimacy to this ridiculousness. That's sort of because he's so humorless and what's happening is funny.
Well, that's a good point, Sarah. Bringing legitimacy to this ridiculousness. I mean, yeah, it is ridiculous. He should have just remained a prisoner. And apparently he's weaseled his way, excuse me.
Yeah, and
he's
not a tortured
his way to a trial. Yeah.
Not a tortured prisoner either.
Right.
I will say one question for you ladies while I have the floor. Would you rather be put in the ice cell or a sky cell?
Oh, I need to be cold.
What's an ice cell again? What is that?
At Castle Black.
At Castle Black, they're tiny. All I know is they're tiny and they're dark and they're in ice. Like you can't after you get out of one, you have to stand up straight for the first time.
I think they're in the wall. I think they're chiseled in the wall.
Yeah, I personally would rather have the ice cell because the reason why is because that sentence that was put on the wall of the sky cell, God's help me. The blue is calling.
In blood.
Yeah, in blood. And I mean, that to me was the most funniest, but yet it was so frightening. I would rather be on the ground, not up in the air.
I think I would choose air. I hate tiny spaces. I hate being locked in, so I definitely would probably prefer to be out there, even though I have fear of heights. So no, I don't. I don't. I'm just saying that.
But do I still have the Shadow Cat cloak because I don't like to be cold?
So I was gonna say it's cold up in the mountains too, Jen. It's cold both places. My argument for the ice cell is that at least I can sleep there, and I might die frozen, but I'm not gonna roll to my death by accident sleeping.
Right.
Well, they say that's real peaceful to kind of freeze to death, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with the ice.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would not last in a sky cell. I'm if there was a window, there's windows that don't have a wall attached to them. My blood pressure is like this. No, not for me.
This is actually what Marie says here. Marie says, I'll personally be dead.
Yeah, me too. They wouldn't even have to torture me. All they have to do is stick me in the room, and I would just or you know what I would do? I would just if you're in a sky cell, you're either going to be tortured or you're going to be tortured and killed. You could just jump off. Sort of like this is a horrible image, but the people there was a burning building and you just jump out and it's better than burning. Dying that way is better than really just jump out and you're not going to get tortured.
That must be horrible to be burned to death. Oh Lord.
Maronian, should have thrown his ass out. And then he would. I don't think he. Yeah.
Elamar, I have a question for you.
Sure.
The blanket on your chair. Can I see it?
Sure. Let me stand up.
Did Nancy give you that?
Yes, she did. Let me just get that stuff. Just
everyone. One of our people gave us this beautiful blanket, and apparently she's got one too. I'm glad. How do you like your blanket, Elamar?
I am loving it. I am loving it to pieces. And this is actually, I call it my throne.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a little mini throne too.
Thank you so much, Nancy T, for making us those beautiful blankets. I so appreciate it. If
Gorgeous.
you're hearing it.
It is gorgeous. It is huge. It actually, I have a king size bed, and it actually can stretch from one side to the other, kind of at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
Perfect. I can't say it enough. I actually dragged it with me today because I'm still kind of house sitting. People who are in the chat probably know that. So I'm actually, after this, I'm running back where I'm an hour from here, and I'm taking this baby with me. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nancy, for making us those blankets. A lovely, lovely gift.
Gorgeous.
Just because we're doing our live stream. So thank you so much, Nancy, once again. I love my blanket. I love it. Absolutely.
It helped me, like, if I can just overshare a minute. My daughter really likes it, and there's all the different house sayings on there, and so she can read now. So she's like, okay, so what's this mean? And I'm like, well, there's the Targaryens, and and it's like, I don't know, it's a way to you can't watch a show with little kids, right? You can't read the books with little kids, but I mean, they see the imagery around the house, and they know Daenerys hatches dragons and Jon Snow's wolf is ghost. I mean, that's sort of yeah. Anyway, it's been fun. It's been fun having something in the house that I can. Well, is insanely comfortable and thoughtful and all the things that you want a blanket to be, but then also it's
this is actually
I can tell people about it. Is my point.
Yeah,
I can tell and brag about it. It's the best blanket because I can brag about it.
Exactly. I completely get what you're saying, Sarah. This is actually my first Game of Thrones item of any kind besides DV or Blu-ray set that I have for them. But this is an actual item that I have. So I actually teared up quite a lot when I got it in mail last week or whenever it was. It was very emotional. And then before that, Jen, I have that here. I'm gonna show it to because I don't know if you saw it. I got this beautiful hoodie from Jen. It's amazing, and I want to share it in just a sec because I'm all about sharing. Because I don't get many gifts from people. I guess I'm the giver, so when I get something, I feel kind of weird in a good way. So I was kind of caught off guard. Like, I'm the one actually getting stuff. Like, no way. This is how it feels.
That you guys, Sunday was Father's Day. Stuff was really crazy at my work during special stream. I completely forgot to give away the Targaryen t-shirt and the Amazon gift card. We will do that this Sunday, 2:00, top of the hour. I promise. I just forgot. I still have the items. I'm sorry. And I'm going to say, I'll take Anne Boleyn's death. I guess if I have to, like, pick a death, like there's historical accounts of her death. The swordsman came from Calais, the very sharp sword. He said something so that she looked away and then cut her head off. I guess I'll take that one.
And here is Marie reminding me about that too. She writes, Lord. It's quicker than beheading. LMR. Thanks, Marie.
Yeah, there's a question going in the chat. How would you like to be executed?
Elba and Louise went out like rock stars.
Anne Boleyn style.
What is it? Jen?
Anne Boleyn style, like with a sharp sword, and somebody distracts me, so I look this way while the sword gallops my head off.
Oh, Lordy.
I don't know how that's an amazing topic we're having, but Tyrion, wasn't he thinking about things like that, like how it would be to die? So any of your choices in the chat? I know it's gruesome right now, but
I just want to give a shout out to the chat, though. We got so many people in here tonight. We got Pete Easy up in the chat. Y'all, mark me. One day he's going to be the T-shirt king of Atlanta. Well on his way.
Thank you,
Marie Hill. We got Stacy 27. We've got Chrissy of Old Stones. Eduardo, Cardinal Doomsday, Mackenzie Burns, Al Red Sox fan, Amanda Duncan, Cardinal Doomsday, Bubba Husky, Renee of House Stark was in here, Terry too. So many people. Thank y'all so much for coming. I don't want to miss anybody. Did I miss anybody, guys? Make
If
sure.
you miss anybody, say hi, and we're gonna say your name. Just say hi to us.
Yeah.
Because our memory is very good, but it's not very good sometimes.
No, there was maybe earlier, right? David was in here earlier.
We lit up
yeah.
because
David is dropping
1083 to get a drink at my house.
yeah. David is dropping all kinds of links. So thank you, David. I already said thank you to you in the chat, but I'm gonna say it formally here because Cami, I think she's busy, and Chrissy is not in blue right now. Normally she drops links like crazy, and so it's the battle of the mods, or mod and not mod. So it's fun. Thank you, David, for dropping those links to all kinds of channels here, not just to our channels.
Thank you all so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful chat. I'm enjoying it. Yes. Also, as far as the story goes, I just wanted to mention just a few more characters, just a few people that will be, we will see later on in the story, like Lord Nestor Roy, Sir Willis Wold, Sir Lynn Corbray, and Marillion. We're gonna see these, people come. We get a good taste of them, in this chapter, and Marillion in the chapter before, and we're gonna see him later on. It's interesting that Marillion is mentioned here because he's gonna find himself later on. Spoiler alert, everyone! Spoiler alert. He's gonna find himself in the sky cell later on. And I believe that the blue will be calling to him as well as it was calling to Tyrion.
For it, I when I hear about how that man was tortured, I'm like, oh, he couldn't have just rolled out of there.
Mord, Mord was beating up Tyrion, and apparently, what's his name? Mord will be, abusing more prisoners. He's going to be abusing Marillion, and he's gonna find himself, under that same raggedy blanket that most likely Tyrion was up under. And the blue will be calling to him as well.
And Mord had steel-toed boots. I found that to be a very interesting little tidbit. I mean,
they're Valyrian steel boots.
Why would he have them? I was wondering about it too. I'm thinking like a construction person or worker or something, or factory worker that needs, like, why would he need it? Like
to kick White Walkers, the Valyrian steel boots.
Oh my god, the pictures I got in my head right now. You rock, seriously. Valyrian steel boots to kick their asses. Oh my god.
Oh Lord. Fall out of this chair.
Oh god. And I still can't laugh a lot because of my cough. So oh my god, I'm having the laughter right now. Oh, I can't wait until I can finally laugh again.
I haven't heard anyone else in this story with steel-toed boots.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
That,
I mean, wow. Like, dude's got steel-toed boots.
He doesn't have half of his face is missing, but his shoes are on fire.
Yeah. And him and his brown teeth. Mord with his brown teeth and his steel-toed shoes. I mean, that's a pretty interesting character. Who would come up with such a combination? Steel-toed shoes and brown teeth.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's just
he took an
George R. R. Martin doing his thing.
He's quite a character. I mean, I'm wondering, did he not maybe take a blow that was meant for John Aaron at some point, losing his ear, half his face, and that's why, because that's actually a pretty gravy job for somebody.
That's
in this day, it's a low board person. So yeah, I'm wondering about O'Mord.
wondered, where he came from and what he'll be doing later on, and how how he came to lose his ear. That would be interesting. We don't hear too much about him. We only hear him here and there, once or twice, sprinkled through a couple of books. But I would like to see and hear what he'll have to say later on. When it comes to Sansa and that whole Winds of Winter thing. He's certainly an interesting character, a strange character, but a good character.
Yeah. There is if I can mention something, I think Marie said it, and maybe more people said it, but I think Marie said it earlier about Tyrion and noticing that there may be more animals than dire wolves and whatever else he said in the woods. Did we already talk about it?
We did not.
Okay.
We did not. So when he's sitting up there in the sky sail thinking about the time, he's thinking about what, his family that's on the outside or free will do. He starts to think about that basically the situation that's got him where he's at. And he's like, you know what?
He has the most real-time interest.
Remember, at this point, he's now been accused of killing John Arryn. So
Right.
it's like, okay, shit. Now not only did I try to kill this kid, I've killed John Arryn. I've killed everybody in the world. And then he starts to actually think, there's more shit going on than meets the eye here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna see certainly him, revisiting this subject later on in A Clash of Kings, especially when he's talking to Littlefinger.
I was gonna say,
and when he's in court.
Yeah, I feel like he forgets that he has this thought. Tell me if I'm wrong, but if you disagree, tell me I'm wrong. He starts thinking, who would benefit from? Maybe there's other people orchestrating this. Who would benefit from the Starks and Lannisters fighting? Then he goes to King's Landing, and I don't really think he's thinking about that anymore. Do you feel like he's thinking about that still? I know he knows.
He's certainly thinking about it, and certainly in regards to the dagger.
The dagger, I get. The dagger, right. The idea that they're going to pawn these families against each other.
And it's, as I said before, especially in regards to Littlefinger, because Littlefinger is the one who told Catelyn about the dagger and pinned the whole thing on Tyrion. And on top of that, his close ties with Lysa Arryn. Lysa was at court with Littlefinger for a long time. And I mean, it's if he would just sit down, stop drinking, and think about this entire situation, he could probably figure the whole thing out. He could probably figure it all out if he wanted to. But and another thing, his drinking. He's not drinking in this chapter. He's not drinking. And it seems to me that when he is sober, he thinks a whole lot better than when he is, drinking in some of those other chapters. In the Dance of Dragons, he has the first chapter, I believe, in the Dance of Dragons, and he's completely three sheets to the wind, And
Defense did just kill his dad and what he thought was his girlfriend.
Yeah, absolutely. He's drinking. He's not drinking here, but he will start to drink later on. And I think he's partly not drinking it, because there is no wine available to him. But knowing him, he will probably be drinking. So, his alcoholism. I think he's an alcoholic depressive. And I think the alcohol is not being consumed because he doesn't have access to it just yet. But knowing him, as soon as he sees a jug of wine, he's gonna pick it up and start drinking. So the alcohol and the non-use of the alcohol is, I think, is something that should be mentioned.
I think he's around alcohol. He's around his dad, and he's like trying to ask for a drink to be seen as a grown-up at the table, making war plan.
I wonder if that's actually, if we can actually diagnose him at this point, because I thought that to be diagnosed with it, you have to have withdrawal symptoms, and he doesn't seem to have them. He just kind of uses it as escape, but I don't think he has, because you can die from withdrawals, right? You can die from it. It's very dangerous to be put away.
Right.
without supervision and medical help. So he is put away, and I don't think he's been drinking for a while, for some time, and he's still not dead. So I don't know if we can actually diagnose him with that. But
Well,
obviously he has a problem. He has a problem where alcohol is escape. But I don't think you have to be an alcoholic to use alcohol as kind of an escape. So I'm
yeah,
just I'm just making a distinction. Just I don't want to call people alcoholic just because they have, something, beer or wine every once in a while or like on a weekend. That's a big difference, I think.
well,
Just
if I,
making a point.
I was
yeah,
gonna say,
no, I understand, and I agree with you on that point. But as far as the withdrawal symptoms, in a dance with Dragon, he does go through withdrawal for a time. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you're wrong, but he does, experience withdrawal at one point when he's not allowed to drink. I don't think
Mhm.
he's worried about it yet, but
Yeah,
I
not
do
yet.
believe
Hmm.
that he is a true alcoholic, just like
Later
Cersei
on.
isn't. Yeah, later on down the line, I
Oh, okay,
believe it,
yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean,
not
I just didn't
yet.
see it now. Not yet. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
not
Not
yet.
yet, because he wouldn't be able to function. He wouldn't be able to even get up. He would be incoherent. Like just it would not be. He would just lay down and he would die. He would roll over and die, literally, of over the cliff. But he's not there yet. But I guess all the events leading to
maybe
when he gets it. Yeah.
Maester Coleman is treating Robert or Rob and Aaron for seizures. He would a joke about alcoholism. I'm sorry. You were talking about withdrawing and stuff.
No, no, it's okay.
I think any of us we're not diagnosing anybody, fictional or real, as anything. We're just having a conversation. We're not armchair diagnosing anybody.
And as for me, I want to apologize. I believe that he is a substance abuser. He starts to abuse
Mm-hmm.
alcohol later on, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah,
a doctor.
absolutely.
I'm not diagnosing
Mm-hmm.
him, and I would never do that, of
Mm-hmm.
anybody. I'm only doing this of his
Mm-hmm.
character, and this
Oh
is a
yeah.
character in the book, and I do believe that he has some sort of depression in him, and I do believe that he is abusing alcohol
He is,
later
yeah.
on in the book. But this is, I'm only talking about the character of Tyrion. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking
Well,
about anyone else
your
or anything.
your
Mhm.
your thoughts on Robert Baratheon are very compassionate, I think. I mean, obviously you talk about alcoholism with him too, right?
Right.
Yeah, just a distinction for me where he's able to make those choices and have clear thoughts while being deprived of it. That's what I meant. That
Hmm.
he being deprived of a substance, whatever substance it is, and that all substances are different and have different effect on people when you're deprived of them. But he is still able to clearly, hopefully clearly, decide what to do and make a plan, whereas if he were really that bad later on he will be, but not yet. He's still there. He still has his mind
Hmm.
for him, and that's good that he at that crucial moment did not have a problem that he'll have later on.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, he shows no signs of withdrawal from
Not
alcohol
yet,
at
yeah.
that time, but he will show them later
Yes.
on for sure. No doubt about
Mm-hmm.
it. Thank someone's going to bed. Amanda, is it you, Amanda? Yeah, Amanda Duncan. Thank you so much for joining us, Amanda. Thank you all so much for joining us as well. If you have any questions, please go ahead and post them right now. We're discussing Tyrion. He's a very interesting character to discuss, as I've said before. Um, he's in the Vale right now. I want to talk a little bit about the Vale. The Vale is probably one of my favorite places in the books. It's the valley pretty much. It's between the poor side of the kingdom and the rich side. It's a place. It's a middle ground. It's a meeting place. It's a neutral ground. It's a place that was not involved in the War of the Five Kings, and it's a beautiful place. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite places. And as I said before, if you want to know more about the Vale or any other piece of Westeros or the planet that our story is based upon, go ahead and pick up A World of Ice and Fire. Ice and Fire goes, deeply into the histories of those places. They go deeply into the history of the Vale and all of the other kingdoms and all of the, places across the Narrow Sea, if you're interested. So check out A World of Ice and Fire. It's a beautiful book. I have it. I think everyone on our panel has it. And if you don't have it, you should hurry up and get it right now. I think it's a beautiful book, and it really goes into the Vale, which is my favorite place.
There's a question here from, if I could,
Mm-hmm.
because you said, Misha, to give for chat to leave questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mackenzie Burns, and by the way, hi Mackenzie. I don't think I said hi to you here in the chat. Anyway, so hi Mackenzie. So she says, when you were first reading, watching this, did you think Tyrion would make it? What do you think, guys? Did you think he would make it when you were reading / watching it, depending on what you were doing first?
As far as the show goes, I knew he would make it. Of course. Tyrion, I believe Tyrion is gonna live until the end. I think he's gonna be one of the characters that makes it to the end, because he knows how to adapt, to the situation. He's a person that can adapt to any situation. He finds a way to make it work. He adapts in his clothing, he adapts in his speech, he adapts in how he approaches the different people. So I believe that he, was going to make it out. He's made it so this far. He's gonna make it all the way to the end. And plus, George R. R. Martin said that Tyrion was his favorite character. So I don't think he'll be killing him off.
So what book does he kill his dad and Varys spirit him away? Is that at the end of a Storm of Swords?
A Storm of Swords.
Okay.
Does Tyrion
show up in A Feast for Crows?
No, he does not. He does not have a chapter in A Feast for Crows.
So the person who asked the question, I did not know if Tyrion was going to make it or not after he killed his dad. And I probably skipped through the entire book of A Feast for Crows, realized there was nothing about Tyrion in it, and went straight to A Dance with Dragons to read about Tyrion. And then as soon as I realized he was okay, I went back. Well, not okay, but having the luxury of reading them all at once. Yeah, you follow that. I don't need to wait 12 years to find out what happens to Tyrion. I can find out right now. So.
What about you, Elamar and Jennifer? Do you think that he'll make it to the end?
Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
100%. He's going to make it to the end. He's going to be running shit. Him and Sansa. They're going to be like the power couple of Westeros. Yes.
I love how you bring it up. I love how you bring it up, because we have more streams, right? We have more streams and we need to plug that in. I love it. I love it. I agree with you. I completely agree with you, Jen. First of all, I want him to survive. Second of all, I need him to survive, because what would this and I know I'm going to sound weird, but this show wouldn't be the same without him. And I can see all kinds of people dying. I just can't see him dying.
He really carry the show. I mean, even if he's not even written good lines anymore, he's those
just his presence there, just his presence.
You can't they were so good.
He can sit there and drink wine for all I care. Like, I just want him there.
Him still
Yeah, Tyrion. I don't believe that Tyrion is going anywhere, and I never believed for a minute that he would die. Now, maybe he might get the death at the tail end of the book series, but I just don't believe that he's not on his way out anytime soon.
I hope he's not gonna die. I truly hope he won't die, because that would be a great loss.
True. That's true. That's true. I believe that. I certainly believe it. Tyrion is such a special character. Such a special character. He just brings the story. He brings an element of humor, a little bit of dark humor that the other ones don't do, that the other chapters don't give. His chapters stand out. I find myself laughing in his chapters, laughing, chuckling, and then some part of his chapters, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that. I can't believe he's doing this. I can't believe what's going on here. He brings it all to the table. He's one of the characters that brings it all, and he brings a
All
lot.
right, Mackenzie. All right. Golly.
Yeah, Mackenzie says, I agree, just not that Tyrion and Sansa marriage again. And then, like,
Yeah.
Well, they're not really divorced, girl. Okay, they're not.
yeah, she says they can be friends, but not married again. Pointless. I know. I love this. I love that, and I know we mean it all with like respect, and I know we do, and I love all kinds of theories, and I'm like so easily entertained. Like, oh my god, like just throw me a theory and make it sound good, and I'm all for it. And then 5 minutes later, throw me a different one, and I'm even happier because it's a new one. I love reliving through I think I said it somewhere before. The minute the show stops, it's done and over. The minute books are written, it's over. So until they're written and printed and sold and movies are made and credits roll, we can make anything possible and we can live through it. And we can argue about it too, just nicely. Let's argue nicely about it because we don't know.
And you know what? I would love Johnsa. I would love that. I think that would be a nice wrap up. Look, Misha's shaking her head like, But I just think, A, that's too happy. That's too happy. And B, I just don't think that the TV show is going there. Could it happen in the books? I think that it could. I think that it could happen in the books. And whatnot, but let me see. Mackenzie says Sansa will probably end up alone or dead, according to Dan and Dave. Cardinal Doomsday says, I'm with Misha. Sorry, Jen. I mean, I would be okay with that. I would, but I don't really see that happening. But I still respect people who see that, and there is evidence to suggest there's something that's going to at least be more between them than long lost brother and sister.
Well, I personally can't get down with him being with Danny or Sansa. Ygritte was his woman for me. Ygritte was his girl. I can't. Anyone else is if you're right.
In the absence of Ygritte, Val is a good match.
We're talking about Jon right now.
Yeah. About Jon.
Acceptable people for Jon are Ygritte and Val. Sorry.
Whoever can take his sulking for a long run, like you're gonna have to. He's not gonna change. So for all I want for Tyrion.
Yeah.
Oh, Jon. No. Whoever could take Jon's talking or Tyrion's talking. I'm sorry. Are you talking about
Jon's
sulking? Because Jon has, just has his. Whoever is going to be with him, that you have to be able to live with him for a long time, because that man is already dead, and we don't know if he's going to die ever. So that's life. So it's an eternity sentence. Who knows?
I tell you what, he don't get excited about anything. I couldn't live with him. I mean, I can get Russell excited about a piece of fried chicken, for God's sake. You know what
I mean? As far as Tyrion is concerned, I actually don't care that much who he ends up with, because he's looking for love. He'll be happy with whoever loves him and truly loves him. I don't know who is able to love him, if there's a person like that currently on the show. He's not looking for alliance. I don't think he always looked for that person to love, right? So for him, first of all, if he's going to end up with somebody, I want him to find love. I don't know if there's enough time. I don't think so. But the ending for him, I really want him to write the books, if there are any books to be written. I want him to be the one, because he was everywhere. He's been with everybody at major points, and he's been talking to all important people. He's been with Danny. Like, I'm not gonna, because he's been to any important character, he's been there. He talked to them. He knows all the facts. So at first I thought Sam would be writing, if there's any writing to be done. But now I'm thinking I want it to be Tyrion. I want him to write that book. or at least tell the stories, because he has all the stories. He's been everywhere. He's seen everything from the wall all the way to God knows where.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
That's a good point. I like that idea because, as a lot of people know, Sam's one of my favorite characters, and I honestly don't want to see Sam in this position of service for the rest of his life, because even though he's resigned himself to it, that really wasn't what he wanted for himself necessarily. That's certainly not on the wall. No, there is no wall anymore. So I might get my wish.
The wall made it brave. Like when he was tinkering with that election for John.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, you know what? What are they going to do? Send me to the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny. Like, what can you do, right?
So he's sort of like a badass in a certain way, you know? Like,
yes, no, he really is.
There was one more person that I had just wanted to mention, and that was Bronn. Bronn's role in this and what he has been a part of the story so far. He was at the end of the crossroads when he met Tyrion. He responded to Tyrion immediately. All he saw was Lannister, and he, went in his mind, who would win this? I think it was very smart of him to think about this. If something went down between the Lannisters and the Starks, what side would I be on? And he chose the Lannisters. And I kind of see that as a foreshadowing, for later on. Even a nothing sellsword, someone of low importance, can see that the Starks are in over their head, when it comes to the Lannisters. I think that's a very good foreshadowing. And even if a sellsword would happily, a person that is untrustworthy would decide to go, with the Lannisters, I wonder if anyone of higher status would also choose the Lannisters as well.
I love the Starks. I do. I think that is the standard that you want to live by. I think, 100% all that. I have the Stark banner, but in my life and in reality, if I was related to any of these people, I would probably be a Lannister minus the incest. I'm serious. I mean, I know you guys. I know, crazy.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Jen. I'm actually gonna jump on your side.
I really do feel that way. I don't want to say that my dad intentionally did it, but very much used to pit my brother and I against each other, like comparing us grades, athletics, etc., and just being a very domineering presence and all about family and sticking together and all that. So that's where that comes from, but certainly no incest.
Yeah, but for Lannisters, I mean, the reason why, if I had to pick Lannisters or Starks, I would pick Lannisters because they're able to adapt, and I'm all about adapting. I hate the fact if, let's say, I shouldn't say hate. It bothers me when people are not able to change and they complain. Like, my thought is, okay, if you can't change, if you're complaining, then do something about it. If you don't do anything, stop complaining. Like, either do or just be quiet. There's nothing wrong with venting and all that stuff, but vent for a little while, get it out of your system, and then do something.
I'll be the first one to admit, sometimes I just have to, when I'm in over my head, I cuss myself, say some horrible things to myself, maybe have a good cry, and then get the fuck up and get shit done. Because that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you just gotta. Nothing wrong with being down, and because we're not machines. We're not hosts. hint. Well, I'm a host. But
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, Renee of House Stark. Now, I don't know why you would fall in on the side of the Starks here, but I just want to point out in the chat that Renee says that the Lannisters only win because they fight dirty. And that's what I'm saying. In this world, things are dirty. Things are dirty. There's always somebody trying to take advantage of this or that. And I find that to be a very real world situation as well, because that is really how politics are, even politics at your work. I mean, is it not? I mean, how many times has one of you guys worked somewhere where you're working with the boss's brother or something, and they're magically ahead of you, but they don't know shit. You know, I mean, oh gosh.
Well, you know, I mean,
those things happen in real life. That's why I say that. I think people have more of a tendency, and that's the thing about the Lannisters. For as much as they really dislike and kind of compete with each other, they do kind of stick together. Like, you know, and that's what Tyrion says in this chapter is he knows at the very least Cersei will be deeply offended that anybody dared to imprison a Lannister.
You can always count on her to be cruel too. Like Tywin handled there's this song, "The Rains of Castamere," for a reason. It's an implied threat that if you cross us, we will not only we will you, we will wipe your whole line out. What did he do? Like fire in a well, or he sealed them in a well with water? Not in a well. He
they hid. They were hiding there, right? They were hiding under the castle.
And they did something at the castle where he
diverted the river.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he killed him. He's like, oh, you could hear the cries for a couple of days. Then there was no more crying. And
I want to say hi to Cammy. I just noticed Cammy's in. Hi, Cammy. Nice to see you. And you're dropping links. You're this first second you're here and you're dropping links. Thank you.
One thing in this chapter that we haven't said.
I do want to say this, though. I'm sorry, Sarah. Let me say this. I don't want anybody to think. I am always trying to do the next right thing. I'm saying that if I had to identify my house with one house, it would be a Lannister. But I aspire to Starkism. Okay? Can we make that a thing? Starkism. I aspire to be very Starkish.
Starkish. And there's nothing wrong with being both, but not to, because we have to play in this world. It's not a fairy tale. And I don't have to say, everybody knows that. We cannot. It's complicated. Let's just say it this way. It's complicated. I say don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others, and just live. But do what you got to do to live. Just try not to hurt anybody or yourself. I think it got really dark in the panel right now, talking about stuff like that. And I see two ladies are already muted.
Oh, I'll start talking.
Okay. I had something I wanted to mention, but I've lost my place here, so I'll be back in just a sec.
You want a minute? I'll talk about what I was going to say. All right. A lot of this chapter happens in Tyrion's head. It's not necessarily all of the events are happening in real time. He's thinking back on them. We've got Mord. So Tyrion's starving to have all this. And Mord's dumping his food out over the edge.
His babe.
Oh, and he's like, I will not let that brute see me upset. And yeah. But Liza is reckless. Do you think that's fair to say? Like, Liza is relatively reckless. She was not able to keep the secret of what she and Littlefinger did. She was not able to keep that secret from Maya. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Elaine. Like, she wasn't able to keep that circumstance for very long. And it's kind of, I mean, Littlefinger banked on, like, what if Liza had just had said something at the wrong time, and instead of accusing Tyrion of killing Jon Arryn, which she did at Littlefinger, and she was also going to let the boy, they were gonna execute him that night because she gave the boy a seizure. He gave, excuse me, I'm getting all my pronouns confused. Tyrion gave Sweet Robin a seizure, and then it was Cat who stepped in and said he's my prisoner, he won't be harmed.
Yeah, I'm surprised how she's still has her power, and like you said, that she still hasn't said anything or something to let other people know that she was behind it. 'Cause, I mean, she's crazy. She's crazy. She's just very, first of all, strange, and has those mood swings where it's either up or down, and complete up. And although I don't see much up, I see more of a down or side to her. And she's so unstable, and I fear for Tyrion. I mean, I think he noticed. Doesn't he notice that
Yes.
with her? And I would be scared, really, because you have this person, you have two people in power, mother and a son, and both are
Crazy.
both crazy. Yes, I mean, this is not the right term to use for people,
Throw it
but
off.
It reminds me of Cersei and Tommen too. The king,
Mhm.
the king will handle this later. The king will handle this. Like, you mean
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boy says, I want to see him fly. I'm thinking, yeah, sure, I'm going to agree to that. I would rather fight than have this boy just tell me, I want to see you fly. Push her. Yeah, no, thank you. I'll rather
I mean, crazy.
take my chances.
Crazy as hell.
Jeez, I mean, and he doesn't even hide it. He just says it. I'm like, Lord, seriously? And two crazy, crazy people ruling that place.
Who has seen that movie though? It's called Crazy as Hell, and
No.
it's about these people in a
Never.
mental institution, and this one guy's like, "I'm the devil."
No, I don't remember that. Oh my God. But yeah, it's like, is there anybody who's in their right mind over there who was ruling?
I mean, Sir is vegan, and he just got killed.
Oh my God.
like, your sister is not who you remember. This is a big mistake.
Right. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the show highlighted Tyrion being like, when was the last time you saw your sister? She's, not all there.
Exactly. And somebody said it in the chat, like when she would notice her sister and just like, okay, turn around and go that way. Yeah. And why, I don't get, I mean, he's a valuable prisoner, right? He is royalty, or however you want to call him. He's important, and they do that to the important person. Like, what do they do to people who are not important? Like, what do they do? Just push them over for fun, for a little.
LMR, he was actually, they could have basically held him as hostage to ensure that nothing happened to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have worked to an extent. I don't think that, Cersei cared enough, but that it could also be used as an excuse to invade them. But
I was going to say, any excuse to
very, it was like that. And that's what Tyrion was saying, is that if Cersei would just look at the situation for what it was, she really kind of had them up against a wall if she would have played it right.
There's a lot of bad choices that were made over there. A lot of bad choices. And again, he's a valuable prisoner, and they're putting him, I mean, I would, like, they're all crazy over there. Why would you first of all, treat him like that? Risk him falling. Like, what are you going to say to Lannisters? Oopsies.
Yeah.
We don't have doors. We don't believe in cells. Send your person who does your interior decorating to us, because we don't have that stuff that you have in your fancy castle. Our prisoners keep dying because they keep rolling over and dying. Like, what are they going to say? That was very odd to me. But everybody over there is odd, just very, very odd. I don't know if it's the mountain air.
Isolated. Maybe because they're so isolated from the other, I don't know, from normal people. I mean, their closest neighbors are the hill tribes, and they don't talk to them.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah.
With that, like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking, and Mackenzie here answered my question. Mackenzie says, because I said, who's normal over there, who can rule, who's not, I don't want to say crazy, but a good ruler. And she plugs in Jon Snow. Good for you. Good for you, Mackenzie. I love it. I was actually waiting for you to say something. It just took me a minute to scroll down. I was waiting for your comment. I'm not saying no, but thank you for bringing him up. He would have his other issues. but he would not be crazy like the I don't know if it's like the high mountain air, like maybe lack
It
of
might be
oxygen.
altitude.
Lack
It
of
might be
oxygen. They're like,
altitude.
their brain is not working properly because
may.
they're not well. They're out of it. They're valuable prisoner
Oh.
in that cell. Oh.
No, Renee, we ain't on the Lannister side. No, girl. What we're saying is what I said is that in real life, did I come from Beaver Cleaver, Stark family? No. Did I come from crazy ass on the run? Like, I don't know what you would equate the Targaryens to. I was saying, no, my family was kind of like the Lannisters. That's all I meant. No, I'm definitely on the Stark side.
Hear me roar. Yeah, the Starks are the moral choice.
Oh, but yeah, of course.
Right.
The course that we identify with. Like, Jen, you have blonde hair. That's a very Lannister quality.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm saying it. My family is more Lannisterish.
See, my family is more like Starks, and their hearts are way too big, way too big. That is beautiful thing to have, but I just noticed the bigger the heart you have, the more of something else you gotta have to survive it, because if you have a big heart, you tend to lose a lot, and your life is going to treat you. But if you're strong enough, that's fine. If you can go through life with your big heart and doing what you do your entire life without getting burned out, good for you. And I will do that until the day I die, because that's what we do. That's why I said I'm a giver. I'm not the one who gets. So I didn't even know how to react to getting something. This is how much it tells, I guess, you don't know me, but yeah. So speaking of Starks, yeah, to survive in this world currently, you need to be more of a Lannister, but you have to have your humanity. You have to have your heart Stark, so you can mix the two. To be strong like Lannisters and to be good like Starks. But over there, obviously, I'm not for Lannisters over there. I mean, I just like Tyrion because he has so much he can do with himself as far as changing his character. He has so much growth ahead of him. Same thing with Jaime. He's changing so much later on. And those people who are the worst in the beginning, to see them grow into something different, it's so satisfying to see how they develop.
I agree.
So maybe that's why I like it. Maybe that's why I like it, because we see that change gradually. I don't ever want to judge somebody and have their life sentence, like, okay, judging them for entire life, because we are never the same. We wake up tomorrow and we can be different. So it's not a label. I don't want to put a label just because somebody's a Lannister or Stark.
I consider myself nice. I mean, I do. I don't know though if a person must call themselves nice, or they really nice.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Can't help it. We can go on these little Game of Thrones quotes all night.
That's a good one. But there's nothing wrong with admitting we don't have to be kind of like, oh, I'm not nice, oh really, I didn't know, like, at some point in your life, if you're good or not. And if you think you're really, really good, you should know yourself, because if you're at whatever number, like in your 20s, and you still don't know yourself, then I'm sorry, you have a lot of growing up to do.
Right.
Internally, you may know if you're good or bad, and if you should recognize who you are. And like over there, Tyrion is learning.
I mean, I think it certainly depends on your belief system, but let me just say this: if I was to die right now, I am almost positive I'd get to heaven, or at the very least, the middle place.
There you go.
I'm in purgatory. Okay.
That's what's important. That's what's important.
I'm not going to be in hell, though.
There you go.
I'm shooting for purgatory as well.
There should be more people like I'm gonna say like us. I'm not gonna say like, there should be more people like you ladies over there. The world will be much better. Yeah.
don't think if I was ever mean to somebody, which I probably am all the time without realizing it, I don't think I was ever thinking, I want to be mean to this person. I want to really hurt their feelings. I think that's probably pretty rare. So, yeah, how did this conversation happen? I think
Tyrion and how he changes, because he's gonna change later on. He will.
Oh, I do think Tyrion, even when he's at his quote best, like we're saying, oh, he's not an alcoholic yet. Oh, he's making Bran saddles. Like he's a good person. He still broke Marillion's hand for no reason. Like he's a mean little shit. And
he's bitter, isn't he? He's bitter.
And you can't blame him at all. But he's a lion, none the same. All the same. He's little and mean, and he makes threats with his mouth, and they back him up. And
what do you think? Is he gonna keep his tongue? Because again, I'm asking about it because I want him to keep it. But every chapter, it seems like we have from him, he talks about how he gets in trouble for using his mind and his tongue.
There are a lot of references.
Good night to Renee of House Stark. She's somebody who's been in the community for a long time and somebody who is my friend. And she joined us tonight. She doesn't get to join us all the time because she has a very serious day job. So thank you, Renee. Good night. And thank you for popping in.
Good night, Renee.
Good night, Renee.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, so we're I do want to say good night to Renee and to all of our people, and to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. We're doing Tyrion. As I said before, a very interesting chapter. He evokes a lot of emotions. He's a very emotional, very sensitive type of person. He's a person that suffered a lot in his life. He's suffering right now in vain for things that he has not, for crimes that he has not committed. And it's a very interesting chapter, and I am so interested and very interested in his chapters and his future chapters as well. Go ahead, Elma.
There's one final thing. I finally found it, what I was looking for. And Marie, who actually she has left already, but she had a comment earlier too, and I think maybe somebody else about and I have it in my notes too. That's why I was looking for it. Tyrion saying that somebody says that the castle is impregnable, and he says it's not impregnable. It's just inconvenient. So in the books, it's Tyrion who says it, but in the show, I remember Bronn saying it. What are you remembering about that from the show?
I remember Liza always being like, "The Eyrie, it's impregnable. It's impregnable." And Bronn's like, "I'll impregnate the bitch." Yeah, so that's that's the sentence I remember Bronn saying, but I don't remember Tyrion saying anything like that in the show. But here in the book, we at least what I have notes on is Tyrion saying it. Again, just kind of comparison. I don't know whose line I like better. I love Bronn's line. This is one of my favorite lines from him. But I also like the line where Tyrion says it in the book, that it's just inconvenient.
Yeah, apparently that castle is the only castle that has never been overtaken. Apparently, it's nestled, within the mountain, and it's very high up above every other castle in the Vale and in Westeros. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I love the idea of dragons showing up there, especially with Sansa there. Like the fact that you need an air force to get there conveniently. I feel like I'm just really excited for what obscure. I mean, it would be a great strategical place, wouldn't it? It's.
Yeah, it is a great strategical place. I mean, it's the castle that's never been overrun. It's up high. It's nestled in the mountains. The only way you can get to the castle is by the Bloody Gate, through the Bloody Gate.
For dragons.
Whoever the Arryns knew what they were doing when they built that place.
And how they named it too. Right. Bloody Gate, like there's a reason why it's bloody, because everybody dies over there. Wow.
Right. It's as you said before, it's just a strange place. And it's a place that's separate from all of the other kingdoms. It's one of the two places that was not involved in the War of the Five Kings. You know, Dorne was not involved, and nor was um, the Vale of Aaron. It's a strange place. You pretty much have to have wings to get up there, and the only creature I think that is alive now that can get up there are the dragons. And apparently, the dragons did get there. The dragons did get there. I read it in the World of Ice and Fire during the Targaryen reign. One of the sisters went up there with the dragon and talked to the son or the daughter of the lord of the lady that was there, and they just realized that they couldn't do anything. So the woman that was in charge of the veil at the time, I can't remember her name. She just gave up her crowns to the dragons, and bent the knee to the dragons. We have a
Wasn't it?
question.
But just clarification about that. Wasn't it the boy who actually got a ride on a dragon? That's why.
Right.
It's not about just nothing to do with not being able to, but I think it was the prince or whatever you call it, ruler of that place. He said, "Yeah, for a dragon ride."
Yeah, yeah. I think I think as I read it, I felt like a veiled threat.
Mm.
Oh,
So I felt
like I'm gonna take your little kid up in the sky, and he's gonna love me, and I'm
right,
gonna bring him
Yeah.
back today, or this could go badly.
right. I mean, the can I ride? She to ride with the dragon lady, and the woman said, "You know what? I'll be right back. I'm bringing you the crowns. I'm
Mm-hmm.
bending the knee."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we have a question from Mackenzie Burns. Will we see the veil again in season 8? As we don't have loads of time. Um, yeah, I believe so. I believe so. I don't think we're done with the Veil of Aaron. I think they're gonna, and there was like a leak, some sort of a leak that got out, and I don't know if anyone wants to hear this, but if you don't want to hear it, I may be moving into spoiler territory, so please, if you don't want to hear it, hit the mute button. I think that the war for the dawn will be fought in the Veil. I believe that to be true. I think that Sansa is gonna say, we're gonna need to deal with this. We're gonna have to deal with this threat, and I think they're gonna be on the run from the White Walkers. And I think Sansa, on the old advice of Peter Baelish, the best place to do this, the best place to finish this is to be at the Vale of Aaron. I remember Peter Baelish in the story and in the books talking to Sansa about how impregnable the Vale was and how this is the place to wage war. These people knew how to defend their castle. They knew how to use these mountains. So I think this may be the place. So I think the veil will be seen again, and I think they're gonna, bring back Robin Aaron as well.
I hope so.
Yeah. So I mean, and as far
That
as
also makes a lot of sense
yeah,
for the books because we know in the sample chapter of Winds, unlike in the show where they have Sansa prepping for the winter, it's Littlefinger prepping for the winter in the books.
right. Mm-hmm.
So that makes a bunch of sense.
Mm-hmm.
There are two things I just wanted to mention quickly, and I'm not even going to go into them, but I wanted to mention them. Two things about Tyrion. One was when he thought that he's going to have to guard his tongue more closely. That's kind of a quote, semi-quote. That's what he thinks about himself. Again, kind of alluding to him losing his tongue. And then later he is made into look like a fool when they drag him out of there. So, and that later will probably play in where he will be playing a fool.
Mm, yeah. I don't know about the losing of the tongue, but it would be a horrible blow to
Yeah,
Tyrion because he
I don't
needs
want it
his
to happen.
voice.
Exactly,
He,
I don't want it to happen.
I don't want it to happen either. He needs his voice. It's pretty much his main weapon, outside of his wits. I mean, I just think it's a horrible thing to do to somebody. It's just, how did you do that to somebody? And when I think of someone losing their tongue, I think about the show and what they did to Marillion in the show. I mean, that was horrible. Just a horrible scene, and It was a horrible thing in the books as well because they did it to a random singer. Joffrey did it to a random singer, and it's just a horrible, ugly thing, and it's horrible. And I just, what kind of person would think to do something like that? And I'm hoping that Tyrion, his tongue doesn't get him, into more trouble, so much trouble that he may end up losing it at one point. I certainly hope that doesn't happen. Are there anything? Is there anything else? Any more?
And I think we lost Sarah for some reason. I don't know if she didn't. I hope she didn't disappear because of the spoilers.
No. She says. I think she says she just had to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, y'all. It's getting super late.
Yeah.
To wrap up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, is there anything else? Any more questions or comments to people in the chat? Because I see a lot of people are leaving, and I think it may be time, to shut it down for this week.
We went over 2 hours.
Over 2 hours, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're discussing Tyrion. We're at the tail end of of the stream tonight. And it's just been a great chapter. It was a very good chapter, a very wonderful chapter. Cardinal Doomsday has a question. He says, "What time is it for you all?" Just wondering. It's 10:30 for me.
10:30.
Yes.
10:30.
Yeah.
10:30 here.
I think we're all Central Time here.
We are.
So it's 10:30 for us.
Sarah was Eastern, so I believe she's 11:30. So.
What about you guys in the chat? How late is it? I'm just wondering. And in the meantime, I checked, and you were right. I don't want to interrupt before about it being what chapter of Tyrion it is. I just remembered it wrong, and then I checked our next chapters at our 10.
Very good.
So at our 10. So Ned, interesting Ned. Oh wow, 1:30. Oh, that's right. Cardinal Doomsday. Yeah, 1:30. We have Mackenzie, 11:30. We have David, 11:30. Okay, so it's late. I'm going to be driving home after this. I have an hour of driving, so lucky me. Well, not home, yeah, so I may have to be wrapping up too.
Okay. Jennifer, you want to wrap it up for tonight?
Everybody, thank you so much. This was a great discussion, and Tyrion chapters are always good. If you can, next Thursday, 8 o'clock at our 10. Sunday, 2 o'clock, Political John. I'm going to do the giveaways. I just completely forgot. But that's all I have. Thanks, everybody.
LMR, go ahead.
Yeah, so like Jen said, we're going to be I'm gonna be here Thursdays as long as Jen will have me, and then I'm gonna be here Sundays, and as long as she'll have me. Then I do Westworld with Johnny Be Crazy, and we have Lauren, I think, next Monday too. We do it Mondays. We have one more left of Westworld Monday in the evening or afternoon. After that, we're gonna change our schedule a little bit to do overview of starting at starting at episode 1. Hopefully Jen will be nice enough to stop by. I would love to have her on my channel. Cami was already dropping links for me, so thank you. I do live streams. Actually, I have 2 channels. I have Living Reviews, which is kind of dormant, and my other channel, my writing channel, is kind of more active right now. I do streams on it, on Living My Rhapsody. And Jen mentioned that we're going to be doing my book at some point on her channel a couple Sundays from now. So for anybody who hasn't gotten a copy, it's still available on Amazon.
Cammy dropped the link a few times.
Oh, awesome.
And everything.
Cool.
It's
yeah.
Of the Stars.
Titans from the Stars. It's a book 1, kind of book for adults, I would say. I guess, depending on how you look at it. So we're gonna.
You know what? I think I don't. I mean, I would put it at 12 and older, I guess. You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't say only adult because shoot.
Okay.
I mean, how old were your kids when you started letting them watch stuff on HBO? You know, I guess it depends on your
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, depending, just if you're not into that kind of stuff, don't.
there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's some descriptive sexual scenes, but it's not pornography, people.
yeah, no, yeah. So there's a plot, there's a story to it. It's not just that.
Right.
So
It's not like
just
yeah.
yeah, ask people who read it. They can tell you what pages it is on. You can skip it if you don't want it.
You don't want to,
So
you don't
so
want to-
yeah, but we're gonna be doing that. And then yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram on those channels and Jen's channel. It's always lovely to be here. And a shout out to Cammy's Gangbangers Hangouts Club. I love it. All good friends over there. So yeah, thank you for having me, Misha.
This is what I have to say about the sex scenes in the book. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, in Tower Heist, when Gabrielle Sidibe is like, "So you married?" And then Eddie Murphy goes, "No, I ain't married. Well, what's up?" I mean, you might want to, have somebody on call after you.
Are you talking about the scenes in my book?
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they yeah, you have to have a plan. When you're reading it, you have to have an exit plan.
I mean,
that's what I've
I
been told.
remember the first time I was reading it, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah. It's supposed to be written that way, so
it's
people are enjoying it so far. So it's good fun.
good. It's adult fiction. It's seductive, but I mean, it's nothing that I would have felt uncomfortable reading in high school for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Jen. I'm very happy to be discussing it, and hopefully I will not be blushing too much when we have that stream. Although I know people probably will be pushing for it just to get a smile out of me. But yeah, thank you. Misha?
Yes, everyone. This is Misha Houston. Thank you all so much for joining us. And as I said before, just hit me up on Facebook and Instagram, my YouTube channel, and the Snapchats. I recently opened a Snapchat account, so check me out there. And also check me out on the Capcom Fighters Network. Just to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to my panel. Thank you to my people in the chat. Thank you all so much for your kind words and your kind attention. We'll be doing Edar next week. I think we'll be touching a little bit on the Tower of Joy. I think it's the Tower of Joy. He's going to go into a flashback for sure. I'm not quite sure which one, but I think it will be a flashback to the Tower of Joy or something having to do with his sister. So just come back next week, and we'll be here next week discussing Eddard and his struggles in King's Landing. Thank you all so much, and I'm out for tonight. Thank you all so much.
All right, everybody. See y'all Sunday. See you next week. Everybody have a great rest of the night and a good week. Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.